Good morning, everyone. So let's look at adding and subtracting polynomials. So this is our first section for our lesson today on polynomial operations. So you actually already know how to do this. This is just combining like terms in the fact that it's got these parentheses. And once I finish writing it down, I'll explain to you what I mean. All right, you're being asked to take this polynomial minus this polynomial. So that's what it is. It's that in parentheses, you have a polynomial. Okay, and those polynomials all have different names. So if you remember, if it had x squared, okay, this was a quadratic. Okay, and then because there are three terms, it's a trinomial. All right, and then you are subtracting this polynomial, which would be a linear because the highest exponent is 1. And there are two terms, so it's a binomial. So you're subtracting this linear binomial. Okay, but all you're really doing is combining like terms to you get down to one single polynomial. So the only one that I really need to focus on is that the ones with subtraction, because you have to you have to distribute the negative sign before you start combining like terms. So you have to remember that there is an understood one there, and then you distribute that negative one to each term. So I'm going to drop the parentheses here. So negative 2x squared minus 4x plus 2. Then a negative times a negative becomes plus 6x. And a negative times a positive becomes negative 2. And then you combine like terms. Now, I'm not sure what your previous math teacher has told you, but when you combine like terms, you start with the largest exponent. So the largest exponent in this problem is x squared. There are no other x squares, so I recopy it, negative 2x squared. Now, one thing is I do with my students when they learn this for the first time is I tell them, especially if you're working in pencil, is once you use a term, because these can get really long, eliminate it, cross it out so you don't use it again. All right, then I go to the next smallest exponent, which is 1, and I have two of those terms. So negative 4 plus 6, that gives me 2x. Okay, and then the same thing, I will cross them out so I don't try to use them again. And then I'm down to my term with no x, my constant term. Well, 2 minus 2, that's 0. So this is my final answer. Negative 2x squared plus 2x. So that means I would go over here, negative 2x squared, and then plus 2x. I'd submit my answer. Yes. And there we are. And so you can see here, it's combined like terms. Excuse me. Same thing, distribute the negative. Okay. All right. Now, let's look at what happens when it's given to you in a sentence, okay? And this isn't meant to confuse you, but I had students last year who used Delta Math as well, and I caught this one. So it says subtract negative 5x squared plus 10x minus 1 from 6x squared minus x plus 3. Well, then that means you have to put 6x squared minus x plus 3 minus, and then parentheses, negative 5x squared plus 10x minus 1. Because it told me to take this polynomial and subtract it from this polynomial here. Okay, so this one is all about writing it correctly. So again, I'm going to distribute that negative. So if I have a negative 1 here, all of these terms need to get multiplied by this negative 1. So I have 6x squared minus x plus 3. Then negative times a negative is plus 5x squared. Negative 1 times 10 is negative 10x. Negative 1 times negative 1 plus 1. If you skip this step, okay, I can almost, not every time, but I can almost guarantee you're going to mess up your final answer. Okay, so it's a very important step. All right, so I start with x squared, the largest exponent in my list. So I have a 6x squared and 5x squared. So that gives me 11x squared. My x term, So I have a negative 1 minus 10x, so negative 11x. And then my values, my constants are remaining, 3 plus 1 plus 4. So then I'm going to type that in, 11x squared minus 11x plus 4. There you go. All right, I'm going to do one more problem, and even then, this is the easiest one of all of them. Okay, it's when you're asked to add. Okay, I honestly don't have to write anything down. Okay, when you're asked to add, unless it helps you out. Okay, but I just need to combine like terms. Okay, because it's a plus sign. Okay, I just combine like terms. So if I start with 9x squared, I have an x squared here and an x squared here. Well, that's 18x squared. Notice I am not, okay, adding my exponents. Okay, then my x term, well, I only have 9x, so plus 9x. And then I have negative 8 plus 3, so minus 5. Okay, submit my answer. And there we go. Okay, so anytime you're asked to add, that's all you're going to do. Okay, you're just going to combine like terms right from the problem. Now, if you want to write it down, okay, you can see here it says nothing to distribute. So they recopied it without parentheses and then combine like terms. You can do that, but it's actually really not necessary if you combine like terms right from the problem. It's only when you're subtracting that you have an extra step. All right, good luck, you guys.